Hello, everybody out there, and welcome to another edition of the Smart Wars podcast. Yes, this is the motivational podcast from the perspective of the Star Wars universe, given to you from me, your host from Boston. Now, I don't live in Boston anymore. It's been over 20 years since I have lived up there, but that is where I was born. That's where I was raised. But after a while, you get tired of shoveling snow. You get tired of dealing with the cold. And you just have to make a change. And that change happened quite a while ago. So, today I wanted to talk about something that I just didn't know exactly how to tie that into the Star Wars universe. And it's dealt with a situation that I went through at my job. And it just kind of, it left an impression on me because it was, my immediate thoughts were like, really, is that how it is? Because if that's how it is, then, maybe this needs to be addressed in a bigger form, in a bigger format to reach more people. So, for my full-time work, I wait tables. I'm involved in a side marketing business, and I also drive rideshare, which is something, it provides more than enough income to cover my expenses. Well, we recently hired some new females at the location of where I work, and I'm walking into the dining area of the restaurant where I work, and I'm walking right behind this new female, and she's got a piece of cotton in the back on the very tail end of her ponytail. And I was like, hey, hold on a second, let me get that out of the way. And after I get rid of it, she looks at me and she says, "Oh, I thought you were trying to touch my backside." And my first reaction to that is I lifted my left hand and I pointed at my wedding ring. And then I pulled my phone out and I showed the young lady a picture of my wife, and I was like, I'm not that type of guy. I love my wife. I'm just not that type of guy. Like, she's my best friend, and I would never want to do anything to her. Anything. Not even a thought. And she responded favorably. She was like, now that's awesome. That's what's up. I got nothing but respect for that. So a little fist bump, we're on our way. But what it made me think about is, for you females out there that might be tuning into this podcast, is that the norm for you? Are you in constant expectation of men treating you like a floor mat? Or just basically nothing but eye candy? Is that the constant thing for you? Is that what you expect? Are you constantly in expectation of just every single man out there being nothing but disrespectful and, honestly, grossly disrespectful to you? Because it kind of bothered me that she responded to me in this way. She's very nice looking. She's very pretty. She's been kind so far, funny personality. She's going to do very well where she's now working. But that should have never been a thought. Because honestly, as I'm recording this podcast, I can't even remember her name. Honestly, it's really tough to kind of formulate words here because of the fact that I'm fully dedicated to my wife, 100%. I don't look, I don't flirt, I don't make inappropriate comments, I don't even think about other women. I love my wife. I'm fully 100% dedicated to her. Now, I've made my mistakes in the past. My first marriage, it fell apart because I was not fully dedicated. And I became the guy that evidently she was referring to. And I wasn't physical like that, but I made my mistakes. But it was something that I regretted. There was a lot of guilt. There was a lot of sleepless nights of saying, how could I do such a terrible thing to my ex-wife? So when I took a look at the situation from, the 2020 perspective afterwards, it just really stood out to me that this is something that shouldn't be happening. It's tough to really tie this in somewhere into the Star Wars universe. And I got to thinking about, when Obi-Wan Kenobi was talking to Luke Skywalker, and, Luke was kind of going in the direction that Obi-Wan wasn't really supportive of. And he's like, well, you must do what you think is right, of course. And then there was the interaction between Han Solo and Princess Leia, and Leia called him, you scruffy looking nerve herder. And he's like, who's scruffy looking? In life, we're going to make emotional decisions. If you look back into multiple stories, multiple avenues of the Star Wars universe, so many people made an emotionally charged decision instead of contemplating the consequences, thinking about the after effect, the aftermath, what's going to be the result of making decisions A, B, and C. Now, you can look at Luke Skywalker and what he did, because here he was following the direction of his mentor, his master, Obi-Wan, telling him, you need to go to Dagobah, you need to be taught by the Jedi Master who instructed me, Yoda. Luke eventually finds him in that little, clay igloo or whatever you want to call it on that swamp planet. And eventually he figures it out, that he is in the presence of, for lack of a better way to describe it, Jedi royalty. And as he's training him, as Luke is feeling that connection to the Force, he begins to experience visions, and he sees the future. He sees possibilities of what's going to take place. And he was given the warning by Yoda and Obi-Wan that it's the future you see, and future is always in motion. So, you can't always just act on how you feel. Because when he was discussing this particular incident with Obi-Wan and Yoda, Luke's response was completely emotional. He says, but Han and Leia will die if I don't. And Obi-Wan tuned in, well, you don't know that. Even Yoda can't see their fate. And he's like, but I can help them. I can feel the Force. And they said, but you can't control it. And they even told him, it is your powers and your abilities that the Emperor want. And Yoda had told him, if you respect them, if you value what they are reaching out for, then yes, you will be willing to make that big sacrifice. You see, life is going to bring all sorts of circumstances and situations. That doesn't mean we have to act on everything that comes across our path. When I thought about this particular incident with this female that I work with, it bothered me because I had no thought whatsoever. I was not even slightly inclined to, touch her inappropriately. And I thought, this is ridiculous, man. So is that the case? Are females constantly being harassed and flirted with and whistled at and made to feel like they're just an object? Okay, so if that's the case, guys, seriously, what's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? You're supposed to basically, like, if you're in a relationship, you're supposed to be in a relationship with that one person, not multiple people. Now, yes, I understand people make a decision. Like, I know of people who are in marriages and they have this agreement that they're just going to go and do whatever they want with whoever they want. But guess what? Somebody's going to catch feelings in the matter. And in the long run, it's going to create problems. It's going to create some really uncomfortable situations and conversations you probably don't want to have. And I've been in that multiple times where I've had to have conversations that I didn't really want to bring up. Whether it was because of my own stupidity or the stupidity of somebody else. Now, if you tie that back into what the experience was with Luke Skywalker, right? He basically ignored the logic. Yoda told him, you need to stay here and finish your training. And even Obi-Wan was telling him, come on, patience. You can't just leave right when you're about to finish, and then that way you can approach the matter at full strength. with the Force as your ally. And so many times in life, we're in a situation where we just want to act on how we feel. You know, emotions are just what it sounds like. If you take away the E, you have the word motion. So there's constant movement. In other words, you are going to feel based off of how you act. So if you're a douche canoe, eventually you're going to feel 100% like the douche canoe. But if you're out there trying to treat people in a way that you'd like to be treated, love, respect, dignity, all those positive things. When I say dignity, I'm not talking about that weird shape that, what's his name? Milhouse's dad on The Simpsons. He drew that shape and he's like, it's dignity, Luann, dignity. You want me to ask the cat? Because the cat's going to get it. It's dignity, respect, honor, love, appreciation, positive words. There's a scripture in the Bible talks about you'll reap what you sow. In other words, if you, I liked how one person said in a public discourse, he said, if you bury a apple seed, you are naive to think that you will get corn. So you can't start something and expect a different result. So if you're treating people like garbage, guess what? You're going to start getting treated like garbage. It's just that simple. There's no getting around that fact. That's an axiom. It's an undeniable truth. You can't get away from it. But if you treat people with respect and you treat people with love and you treat people, again, like the golden rule says, you treat people the way you want to be treated, then guess what? That positive energy is going to keep coming to you. The goal is to basically avoid the negativity, to avoid bad consequences, bad results from a bad decision. Now, we had that incident I'm going to bring this home. I'm not going to go into full detail about this, but there was an incident a couple of days ago involving my wife. Now, basically, she'd stepped outside, and there's a person within our neighborhood that doesn't obey the leash laws, and she's got these tiny, not tiny, because, like the Chihuahuas are tiny, and there's the little teacup dogs. Those are tiny. And they're the small, ankle biters, the ones that annoy the entire planet. And, even the universe is basically trying to zap them out of existence. Well, she's got them off of their leashes, not even have a leash, actually. And they're kind of running all over the place. So my wife's getting in the car. She's trying to leave. And one of the little dogs darts in front of the car. And my wife didn't see it, but she saw the woman running towards the car. So she stopped. And then the woman hits our car. Well, that infuriated my wife, and my wife can be quite hot-tempered. She's not just hot; she can be hot-tempered. So she came in and she was like, "This, and I'm gonna do that, and this stupid, Then she kind of, for a second, she may have been turning into Arnold, like, come on, get out of here, get to the chopper," and she was furious. And I had to talk her down and cool her off. And I was like, no, come on, it's not a tumor. And I had to cool her off and just help her to appreciate, look, if you go and react the way you're feeling, it's not going to go the way you think it will. Things are not going to work out right. It's going to create more problems. So I said, look, get in the car. We're leaving. Get in the car. We're going. So she got in the car. And we drove around, I went and got some food, then I came home and I left for work. Had a little drive, it cooled her off, came home, and she's like, I stayed away from her, and I was like, that's my baby. She made the right decision. So we had to take our steps and, go to call the police and, spoke to management for the property, and they said they're going to investigate it because, I just said I don't want that type of, altercation, that negative energy coming into my home. I just don't. So I said, you know what? Okay, we're going to take it to the steps that we can and try to maintain peace. Because again, you bring out negative energy, that's what you're going to get back. And, that's, for those of you who are into Star Wars, you've seen that so many times, whether it was with Anakin and what he did and killing the younglings. And then you've got Ezra and his little trips into the dark side. And you could see him like really, really using that dark side energy and causing all sorts of damage and problems. And people were like, hey, did you learn that from Kanan? And he was like, no, he didn't teach me that. Yeah, you can gain power from just doing what you want. But is it the type of power that is going to motivate and encourage others to do good and positive things in their life? To improve their life and to bring blessings into them? No. You bring negative energy, you create problems, you create hatred, you create anger, resentment, all negative stuff. I mean, good grief, you could go all the way back to what Yoda had told Anakin when Anakin was this whiny little kid. He told him, I sense much fear in you. And it's always been interesting how Yoda would describe something negative as a path to the dark side. So there wasn't just like all one singular path. There was multiple paths to the dark side. Multiple. So it really comes down to what you are feeding your mind. If you're constantly feeding yourself on stuff that is not going to promote you or promote somebody else or, bring positivity to the life of yourself or those in your social circle, your family, your marriage, whatever, then you're going to bring negative things to it. What are you feeding your mind? What are you putting inside of your heart? Are you doing things to try to make your life and the life of others better? Or are you just a self-centered douche canoe? Nobody likes douche canoes. So stop being the douche canoe. Yeah. Oh, man. When you get all that energy out and you talk about it and you realize how ridiculous stuff is, it just clicks inside of your mind of the importance of just doing positive. With every single aspect of life that you encounter, you've got to look at it from the whatever positive angle you can get from it. Because if you're constantly looking at the negative, guess what? That is all you'll find. If you're just constantly looking to find a problem, not only will you find it, more than likely you're going to eventually create it. So instead of creating problems, instead of looking for issues, looking for something to just, to complain about, look for something to be grateful for. Have an attitude of gratitude. Be grateful for what you have in your life. No, not everybody's life is perfect. But is there something in this day, this very day, whatever day it is that you're listening to this podcast, whatever day it is, it's got to be at least one day that ends in Y. Is there something today that you found enjoyable? Could have been anything. Could have been a breakfast sandwich. Could have been a cup of coffee. Yeah, I got to replace my coffee. I bought this coffee at the market, because it was at a good price. Because usually it's kind of expensive and it was really reduced. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try it. And I ground it up fresh and I brewed it. And I was like, it's not that good, man. But I was happy to have coffee because I was kind of tired. I've been having some sore issues in my left shoulder and arm, and it's been interrupting my sleep. So give me a little energy to keep going throughout the day. What are you grateful for? What are you happy about? What in your life brings a smile and may bring a smile to the life of somebody else? If you constantly focus on those things, more and more good things are going to come your way. Well, my friends, I truly appreciate your time. I'm honored that you have taken time to listen to my ridiculousness. I hope that you gained something from it. If you did, there's a little like button in my YouTube page. Why don't you tell that like button that Palpatine is a douche canoe? So, appreciate all your time. Feel free to share this. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to leave some comments in the bottom. Maybe we can have a little conversation about this ridiculous topic. Or if you got some ideas, if you like what you hear and maybe you'd like for me to expand and talk about something maybe personal, something a little bit different, let me know. Outside of that, I appreciate you. You guys are absolutely wicked awesome. Have yourself an amazing day, and may the force be with you.